I was conducting some business, personal business in a facility here in town. The situation there, I wound up, falling over something that, probably shouldn't have been there, and hurt myself badly. I broke some bones, and was not in good shape for a while. And basically, I just wanted them to pay the hospital bills because, they directed me not only to go to the hospital, which is a smart thing to do, but they were very specific as to which hospital. So I just took the bills down, once I got the bills from the facilities. And that's where it all began. They were hedging as far as, whether they would pay them or not. I couldn't pay them, and these folks needed to be paid. And I happened to be doing some end-of-life items with another attorney who recommended Scott. And I'll never be able to repay that attorney because Scott did right by me. It was rough going. It was very, very painful, the healing process. So I had 2 breaks of the pelvis, and I also had a broken right shoulder, which we didn't discover until about 15 months post-injury. And that was because it kept hurting. So yeah, it was painful. I had never broken a bone before. I was in one of those walker type things that has a seat. So that's kind of how I got around. Living in a house where I've got 2 sunken rooms, you just didn't go into those rooms, during that healing process. But every movement was very painful, but it's gonna be until you get healed. I'm gonna be blunt. Scott Distasio never raised my expectations. I think that's typical of lawyers, but there's lawyers and there's lawyers. He just seemed to be diligent about what he would do. When he had questions, he'd contact me, or he'd have his staff contact me. It was just, there was no highs, no lows with him. This is what he's doing and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, the case was, was brought to an acceptable conclusion, and I couldn't be happier. But I think a lot of that is that there was no false expectations on my part. He did not lead me to believe, that the case would be settled in such a way that was just an impossibility. He was calm, cool, and collected, which is what I needed. He kept me grounded, and I put my complete trust in him because he's the attorney, not me. That's why you hire an attorney. And in my opinion, the answer is yes, and in my opinion, it was more than reasonable. It was more than I even ever expected. And the happiest thing to me was getting those providers paid. And I'm not going to say that I'm not happy that, I had a little extra to walk away for myself. That's always nice. But I didn't have that debt now. Would I recommend Distasio Law to anyone who had a personal injury case? Without question. Without question. Of course I would. First, I would give them one of Scott Distasio's cards. I've got a couple of them. I would encourage them. Call. I don't know if they've got a case or not, but that's why they would call. And I would tell them, don't wait, because, time is everybody's enemies in cases like this. Give him a call, tell him what's going on, and see what he thinks. If he thinks you got a case, then, in my opinion, you've got the best guy in town. They are consummate professionals, but there's a human side to them too. Because you can get as done as professional, but you can tell it's just that. It's business and that's all it is. Scott's folks, they're great. And I'm not into hugging strangers, but when all was said and done, I asked if I could hug them, and I gave them, because they had become friends to me. They really had. Thank you, Distasio Law. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Melody. Thank everybody in the state, all of you folks, every single one of you. Thank you. It meant a lot. It meant a lot. I mean, they took care of me, and in more ways than one, because I'm glad it's over, but I'm glad that I went with the firm that I went with.